No, my name is Jim Runnalls, and I was raised on Manitoulin, and I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters, and this story involves 2 of my sisters and my 1 brother, and it started in 1948. It was a beautiful day. I remember the color of the sky. There's no clouds. School had just been released for the summer, and it was custom in our family to plant trees. So this one day, I'm not sure if it was my dad's suggestion or if I wanted to do it, but we were talking about a hedge to one side of the roadway from the house to the barn, and so we put together the horses and the wagon and took off. I think it was in mid-morning. Beautiful day. I can remember that day so perfectly. That my brother Bob and my sister Darlene and Alva, we were all in the wagon, and I believe I was driving the horses, and we worked our way across the main road through the township and onto a sand road going towards Lake Huron. We were looking for trees to plant, and I just happened to come across a jack pine that really appealed to me. It was perfect shape of a Christmas tree, and it was right level with the top of my head. And I decided I have to take this home. So I worked around it, and I left lots of earth so the roots wouldn't get too damaged. And I got it loose and brought it up onto ground level, and I couldn't lift it. And I remembered asking Bob to help me load it into the wagon, and between us we got it in the wagon. And a few other trees, like we had the wagon pretty well loaded, and so we go home, and between Bob and I, we planted the tree. We got it off the wagon, planted, and then when my mother saw the tree, she really scolded me because it was too big, and she said, "Oh, it'll never die." Well, her scolding was sort of, you know, I'm going to do everything I can to make this tree live. So, like, we didn't have any water at the house. We carried all the water from a well, be about a quarter of a mile away, halfway to the other set of buildings on the property. And so on wash days, after Mum was finished doing the washing, which was always Monday morning, I would cabbage the wash water and carry it to that tree. And sometimes we would have rain, like we always had rain barrels too, because that was an important way to save water when you didn't have any close to the house. And so I put every effort I could into watering this tree, and it almost died. I remember the first 2 years that some branches started to turn brown on it, and I thought I'd lost it. But by the time 4 years later rolled around, that tree was starting to show signs of recovery, and it was growing. And that really made me happy. As time went on, I left home and I worked out, and I sort of forgot about the tree, but it was always in my mind because the day was so important, the day I dug it up, you know, it's such a beautiful day. And time went on, and in 1988, like I was living in New Liskeard at the time, and my wife and family, we went back to Manitoulin for a visit, and I wanted to see this tree. And by this time, my parents had sold the property, and the property didn't belong in the family name. But I located the tree. It happened to be the first tree in the hedge, like between the house and the barn. It was quite a distance off the barn. The idea was for it to stop the snow drifting onto the lane to the barn. So I was standing there admiring the tree in 1988, and I looked up in the tree, and there was 3 bird nests. And just at that second, something really hit me. Like a warm feeling came over me, and like I thought of my God and me and Mother Earth, and it just sort of connected to a circle of me, the tree, and the earth. And it really struck me how we were meant to be responsible for our environment. That was when I became aware of, it's up to us humans to try and preserve the earth. Now, that tree would have survived quite well if I'd have never moved it. I realized that, but it was serving a purpose where we put it. And 1988 was the last time I saw that tree, and I'm not sure that it's even there yet, but it was just when I saw those birds' nests, that's when it really hit. It gave me a warm feeling to think that I was responsible, that I had contact. And the thought went through my head, there's part of that tree in me, and part of me is in that tree, and it's a good feeling to think, when I think of the roots of that tree in the earth, it sort of makes me feel connected, so that's pretty well my story.
How big was it in 18?
It would have been 15 to 18 inches at the stump, and it would have been 30 feet tall.
Wow.
Anyway, but it was the scolding I got for digging up such a big tree that tree may not have survived if I hadn't got that scolding.